Hi, everybody. And let me do that. Okay. So I have my chat box open now. So let me go ahead. I'm going to start. There's a lot to talk about. The energies are rich and ripe now, everybody. And I would be interested to know how you're all navigating it, because it's very full on. It's very thick. And I've learned some other things in the last couple days. This week for me, health-wise, has been very rough. There were some realizations and awarenesses about what's happening for me, which I'll share at a later time. So I'm having lots of stuff happening, and there's clarity around what is actually happening behind the scenes. But on top of that activation, we have the energies right now, which are very, very catalyzing. Solar flares apparently have been very active over this last week. So between what, the 9th and today, the 14th, something like that. So indeed, for any of you that have been going through having migraines, having great fatigue activated for you, having insomnia, vision issues, again, like we've been talking about, a lot of people having vision issues, stuff with the eyes and the head. So a lot of headaches, pains, nerve stuff happening, activated. Feel free to connect. If I will tell you, one of the things that's helped me is I've been ingesting more water, because I've really been forgetting to drink. And the more we keep hydrated, the easier the systems, the electrical systems in the body can function, and also the more things are flowing, and there's not a backup of toxicity, for example, in the body. So the more we can keep hydrated and as clean as possible, you want to do that, especially now. And I do feel that this Chiron in Aries, which we're going to talk about, is rich. It's really rich. I mean, the whole thing now that's popping up with Syria, it feels unfortunate, unnecessary, perpetuating the old narrative, and it feels unsurprising, So there's a lot of weight. There's a lot of weight in the field over here. Okay. All right, beauties. So let's go ahead. I have 3 different pendulums here. We're going to start with your guidance for the week. Okay. So I have 3 different pendulums. So you get to choose which one. And then I'm going to pull a variety of cards, 2 cards, Everyday Tarot and my Braultile. Okay, so these are your choices here. Okay, so go ahead and select one. Now, one of them is wood. I don't know the kind of wood. The woman in the store didn't know what kind of wood. I want to say rosewood, but it's not quite that red. So I don't know if it's rosewood or not, but it could be this rosewood or wood, beautiful pendulum. It almost looks like a chess piece. We have the sunstone, and we have this unit, this pewter pendulum here, which I got at my favorite East-West bookstore. So this one, these are all from different places too. This one I got many years ago at East-West bookstore in Mountain View, California. This piece I got it at Morning Glory Essentials in Hardwick, Vermont. And this piece here is my most recent piece, and I just got it at a place in Montpelier, Vermont. Okay, so these are your choices. Go ahead and tune into one. Select one that's talking to you. I love that they're all moving. Okay, and we're going to select first from the Everyday Witch Tarot, my whimsical favorite right now. Actually, I've been going back to the Fairy Tale Tarot, but I don't know. It's just whatever is calling. That feels like the right thing to do. So, but today it's the Everyday Witch. So I'm going to go ahead and do a little because we are going to work with reversals today. And I'm going to tune in first for the theme. So we're kind of tapping into what's the theme that's activated for your attention this week ahead, for this intense week ahead. What's kind of the main catalyzing factor for your growth, the main theme for growth. And I'm going to start with the wood pendulum. And one flipped, okay? So, and now I'm going to select for the sunstone. Okay. And for the pewter. Okay, beauties. So we have the themes. Now, let's pull the growth edges. So I am going to use the Braultelate today. Okay. I'm going to take a little sip. And for the rose, or for the sunstone pendulum. Okay, and for the pewter pendulum. It's either pewter or nickel. I think it's pewter. Okay, beauties. All right, so let's take a look. Let's start with this one here, okay? So if you selected the wood pendulum, let's see. Wow, look at this. The sun card is coming up upright, came up upright. So this is about energy. It's about seeing with fresh eyes. It's about feeling your energy freshly. So, and you can see here too that this particular image has 3 women connected. It's almost like the celebration card. It's almost like the 3 of Cups card. And of course, this is 1 and 9. This is 19, 1 and 9. So individual and completion, or individual and spirituality. Connected, 1 and 9 is 10. 10 is endings and new beginnings, because it's like the binary. You have 1 and 0. So this particular, I just think it's beautiful because you have the circle, the sphere of the bright yellow globe, the sun above this group of 3. And again, you know, as you know, 3 is community, communion, communication, creativity. It's new birth and it's connection. So there's some sort of joy, new life force, new vitality coming forward this week for you. This is the theme. Now, this could also be talking about a lot of energy as well. And as we've started to talk about, indeed, there's a lot of energy this week. So keep that in mind as well, you know, because these archetypes, the cards that we're bringing up via the tarot, they go so far. I think an aspect of this reading is there's a lot of energy. And indeed, look what came up here. So the growth edge for you, I think, is to see bigger, to be bigger, to see a new reality for yourself, to see outside the box, to see that there's lots of opportunity out there, that there's lots of potential out there, that there's lots of choices that can be made for a bigger dream for you, a bigger life for you, right? So there's a lot of energy activated for you this week, and the growth edge is to activate your largesse, as it were, your bigness, your appropriate flow of vital energy through you. and activate it. Now, big is number 73. 7-3 is 10, right? So you have 2 10s here. This is about some sort of new beginning. There's a culmination point this week activated for you. Really beautiful, that. Really beautiful. Now, if you selected the sunstone, oops. If you selected the sunstone, all right. This one, unfortunately, it doesn't do it justice. This is quite a beautiful piece. It's peachy orange. It's beautiful. Okay. All right. All right, beauties. So you did receive a reversal. Now, 8 of Cups. So the 8 of Cups came up reversed. This is for your theme for the week. I have to say, I love this deck, as you've heard me talk about before. But one of the many reasons I love it is the interpretation of the cards. So usually in the 8 of Cups, it's like somebody hunched over, walking up the rocky mountain, leaving, you know, it's very martyr oriented in its depictions often, not always, but in the traditional decks, I find it very martyr oriented. It's like you're walking off, you know, you need to. The meaning of the card is, you know, you need to walk off from something that you might have still some emotional attachment to, but you know it's for your best. This one is the same. It's the same meaning, but I love she's standing upright. She's confident and she's at ease. She's peacefully walking away from the Table of Cups, which I think is quite delicious. It's as powerful as the Tower in this deck. It's my favorite Tower card ever, is the Everyday Witch Tower card. Favorite ever. But this one I love too. Now this came up reversed. So I have to tell you guys, so if you picked the Sunstone, the growth edge is breaking. And the theme of your week came up, not walking away. So what this is talking about in total is there's a need to walk away from something. There's a need to break a habit, a mental habit, an emotional habit, a habit of your day. It could be a work scenario. It could be a relationship scenario. This is Cups. So it's walking away from some emotional attachment, but the emotional attachment could be anything. There's something that you need. The growth edge is breaking. You need to break. Let me do it this way so you can see it too. Okay. There's a need to break something that you're not currently walking away from. So this week, as we activate this new moon simultaneously with Mercury going direct, simultaneously, essentially, with Chiron moving into Aries, happens a few days later. For you, there's an activation of becoming aware of what you're not walking away from and what you need to walk away from in order to bring the new birth into play. Again, powerful. Totally different theme than, you know, the wood. Now, if you picked Pewter. Okay. So the theme for the week, this came up upright, is 6 of Swords. 6 of Swords, okay? Now, you can see that this particular image, this image in this deck has received some criticism from some people reviewing the deck because they think that it looks too much like the 7 of Swords. The 6 of Swords, typically, as you know, is a man and a woman and a child in a boat, you know, floating away, sailing away from rougher waters into smoother waters. And this one is different. This one doesn't have any water, does it? No, but it does have, you can see that there's like, it's almost like a spiritual wind, a spiritual guidance that's pulling these people into a better scenario, a more peaceful scenario. So yes, anyway, this is the 6 of Swords card, which is traditionally with the boat and moving to calmer waters. This one doesn't have water, but it's definitely moving into something new. This came up upright. So the theme is for you moving into something more peaceful, you know, more calm, more resonant for you in your now. Now, the growth edge, interestingly, is union, the union card. So union has to do with relationships. So for you this week, there's something with regards to relationship. Let me look at this for a minute. The other thing that I'll point out, and this is number 44, okay? So 44 is a master number. 4 and 4 together is 8. 8 is the lemon scat. 8 is the infinity symbol. 8 talks about feedback loop. This is about relationship. It's about interrelational dynamic with people. It doesn't have to be with an individual. It can. This can talk about a marital partner. It can talk about something else. But with regards to these themes together, the growth edge is attending to the union, meaning what is it that's accurate, that's right, that's true? What's the truth of the union, and what is it that I need to walk away from with regards to the union, right? But what I want to point out, do you see that there's a 6-pointed star between these two snake images in this union? And this is the 6 of Swords. So 6 traditionally has to do with family, security, finances. There's a stability factor to the 6. Often it's about family. So here there's a need to move into calmer waters with regards to family, with regards to relationships. And maybe for some of you with regards to your marital partner, okay, or your committed relationship. All right, beauties. So let's take a look. I'm going to pull up I have my ephemeris here. I want to pull up my, let me see here. Here we go. Okay. Now, I'm going to pull my notes because this is really, we started to talk about this in the potion for last week. But as you know, tomorrow, Sunday the 15th, we have this Aries new moon, sun-moon conjunction. Now, it's happening with Uranus. Okay. So it's this Aries Mars-fed energy set of a new seeding time, and it's happening right with Uranus right before Chiron moves into Aries. So there is loads of Marsian energy coming into play. And the interesting thing is, because we're already seeing the impact of this Mars energy. I mean, we're already seeing it. There's already lots in Aries, right? So we have Sun, Moon, Uranus, and Mercury is there. Yeah, and Mercury is there. Mercury tomorrow night. So at 9:57 p.m. Eastern time, that's the time of this new moon conjunction, the sun moon conjunction. And Mercury will be at 4 degrees 48 minutes. So our minds are very Marsian in its orientation. Our identity is very Marsian in its orientation. Our emotionality is very Marsian, and it's with Uranus. So there's an electrical disturbance or an activation. Talk about a catalyzation. I mean, I really feel that this is almost a setup. The energy that we're experiencing now is almost a setup by the cosmological agency, by life, okay? It's a setup to manifest some extreme action in the world, and as without, so within. So this is also on an individual level. There could be catalyzing events for each of us this week. The growth edge inherently, I'm getting some chills with that. So the growth edge is to stay grounded. to stay grounded and to be the observer of the what's going on, of the story that's activated. Okay, everybody? So what I mean by a setup by the universe, by life, by the cosmos, it's like a setup in that it's almost like stuff is meant to happen. It always is. Aries and Mars, lots of energy. The fact that this particular Sun-Moon-Uranus conjunction, electric, shift, change, activation, right? Explosive activation. It's not plutonic, but it is catalyzing. And with regards to ego and feeling, masculine, solar, and feminine, reflective, internal. So the external action masculine and the internal feminine way of being in the world, those are coming together with Uranus. So that it's almost like this implosion kind of narrative there with Mars underpinning it, because it's all happening in Aries at the end of Aries too. So we've already had, all this buildup of this Uranian movement since March of 2011, since the day of the Japanese earthquake, tsunami, and nuclear meltdown, when it moved into Aries. So this is no shit. It's interesting. I've been telling you all for a while now. There's a whole Uranus is very powerful, and I am, I'm learning to relate in a deeper way, in a better way with Uranus, because Uranus feels full on, almost like an enemy kind of scenario. Not necessarily the case, but that's my own individual relationship. However, I've talked to other people too, where the Uranian energy is really intense. It's really intense, So this is the deal, this setup that I'm talking about. And I don't mean to kind of lay it out like it's a setup to catch us or a setup to bring us down. That's really not what I'm saying. I'm saying it's almost a setup, like a fated unfolding, because Chiron will then move into Aries on Wednesday, right? And what that means is that something might occur, and it's already occurring. With Syria, it's already occurring. So, but something might exacerbate, let's say, over the next few days. And then with Chiron also then pushing into Aries, Mars ruled, what's going to happen for the next 7-8 years? We're going to have major healing to do with regards to the wounded masculine, the imbalanced masculine, which has a lot of work to do, because the masculine's been in this imbalanced state now for thousands of years. So the setup is natural. The setup is nature. The setup is explode, because then there's healing to do around it. And it's, how humans are. We need to be hit over the damn head. We need to be hit over the damn head to make a change, right? If people weren't so dense, if humans weren't so dense, and if we would actually take action when the whispers of the insight were to come, and if we didn't hold on so tight to our identity that keeps us bound and tied and imprisoned, we wouldn't have to have all these events occur. So it's full on, everybody. So that's what's happening. Now, the other thing that's happening, which is so amazing, is that Saturn stations at 9 degrees, 9 minutes Capricorn on the same day that Chiron transgresses into Aries, right? So on the 18th, which is 1 and 8, 9, Saturn stations retrograde at the degree point 9 degrees, 9 minutes, Capricorn. 9, 9, and 9. This is about completion. It's about spiritual learning. Okay. So Saturn retrograde. We're going to have this now for many, many months. I think it's 5 months, again, like it was last year. Where is it happening in your chart this year? You want to look at that. So where are you going to go into the internal narrative of where you are contained and bound? Because that's what happens. When it's going direct, there's an externalization of these energies. When it's going retrograde, when any planet is going retrograde, it's the internalized process then. So how are we each keeping ourselves bound by some idea of us as individual, of us as some identity that we have to keep formed? I hope that makes sense. So we're going to be going into a couple of things. One is, when Saturn goes retrograde, it's happening now in Capricorn, not in Sag, where it was happening last year, okay? With the Capricorn Saturn retrograde, this is about how we keep ourselves bound via the structures and the forms of our physical life, our work structure, our finances, our financial structure. How do we as humans, as individuals, keep ourselves bound by what society imparts as the proper system, you know? And this is happening all when next month Uranus moves into Taurus, which is going to break the material aspect of the financial constructs of reality that we're living, right? Does that make sense? I mean, do you see how it all unfolds at the right time? Because there's one layer that's breaking open, and then a few days later, another layer breaks open that is the appropriate next step for the unfoldment, for the evolution. That is how nature works. That's how your soul works as an individual level, but on the collective, that's how it works, right? Everybody, huge. Now, the other thing is that as of now let me look at my chart. As of tomorrow night, so I'm looking at a chart right now that is that's the new moon. It's the point of the new moon, okay? Now, no accident, complete alignment, total alignment, perfection, the perfection of life, that as this new moon hits, Sunday, the 15th of April, the moon's nodes pop in to an 11-degree orientation. So I'm wanting to talk about the 11 because not only are the symbols important, but the 11 is important. We're in an 11 year. We're here at this dynamic portal, and here we are with the moon's nodes at this dynamic new moon at the 11 point. But what I want to point out to you is this, just to be clear. According to this ephemeris, which is fascinating, the North Node popped into the 11 to 12 degree orientation on 4/4, okay? But the South Node is still hanging on to the 12 to 13 until essentially the new moon tomorrow. Now, I don't know if this is right. I really don't. Because right now, according to my chart that I'm looking at, the North Node at the moon tomorrow night, April 15th, 9:57 p.m. Eastern, 11:59 North Node Leo. Okay? So, for the sake of conversation, I don't know how, at what time, at what exact date and time it moved into the 11, from the 12 to the 11:59. I don't know. You know, I'd have to actually go back and kind of calculate in the chart here. According to the ephemeris, though, it's a little, I can't quite follow that. I can't quite follow it. So I don't know. But what we do know is that there are new symbols taking place now for us. So let me pull up my symbology. So again, at this kind of powerful, at the culmination point of the weekend, at the very end of the weekend, we have, let me talk to you about the nodes first, and then we'll talk about the other symbols. So the moon's nodes, the South Node at 11:59, the South Node at 11:59 will be on a vast staircase. Stand people of different types graduated upward. Now keep in mind, the South Node is located in Aquarius, 11:59 Aquarius. So just for the orientation, I love this symbol, though, for this kind of, let's say, new narrative, new story, and new healing story. Because again, with all this Aries energy, with these 11-degree nodes on this 11 year, at this dynamic time of shift and change, with Chiron's move for the next 7 years, Uranus's move coming up for the next 7 years, huge change. There's a big thematic change, a sweeping thematic change. So be prepared. Ground, you know. With regards to the moon's nodes, though, the south node is our past experience. And the past experience that's kind of coming in like a breeze in the psyche is on a vast staircase, people stand, people of different types graduated upwards. This is about the evolution of the human. Accident? No. No. We're remembering how we can evolve, how we do evolve, how we evolve out of the Marsian aggression, adolescent, childish way of being in the world. This is about evolution here, right? And then the north node is, I love this. I could not love this more. This is the north node at 11:59 Leo that is activated for the collective. An evening party of adults on a lawn illumined by fancy lighting. Lanterns, illumined by fancy lanterns. How delicious is that? What is that saying? That's saying that our goal, the mastery trajectory, is to learn to evolve, remember evolution, and have some fun. Now, having fun is not to be dismissed. Having fun we've forgotten to do, especially with Saturn moving through Cap for the next couple years. Very serious. You know, this is about the world is going through serious stuff. The stuff I'm seeing in my news feed, the new stuff, heinous events happening in the world. Absolutely ridiculous. The level of brutality that people insist on living in their lives, what the hell are they thinking? They're not. They're in automatic mode, completely unawake and unwilling to wake up. They're so damn identified. It's pissing me off. I can't believe how barbaric human beings are, you know? But the stuff that's coming up now in my news feeds, insanity. Insanity, like so clear, right? But here, everybody, an evening party of adults. Can I just point that out too? It's an evening party of adults. I love that. It's not like a bunch of teens having a drinking party with kegs. No, an evening party with adults on a lawn, on grass, on green, on earth, illumined by fancy lanterns. We're talking joy, connection. We're talking celebration. We're talking ease, relaxation. We're talking fun. We're talking about enjoyment. So the mastery trajectory for us for this time frame that the North Node is going through, that 11 to 12 degree portal, find enjoyment, because that's really the meaning of all of that. I mean, we're not here to war. We're not here to suffer. But ultimately we are, because we're here to learn. And so the immature mind will go through all of these iterations of barbarism, insanity, everybody. It just pisses me off. I'm finding I'm losing my patience with, I just can't, I find it harder and harder to really connect with how people are even thinking. Like, I don't even know. I'm looking at the clock, it's 11:11. First time I've looked at the time. 11:11, talking about the 11 nodes. It's a beautiful thing, everybody. Okay, so let's talk about the new moon symbology. I actually touched on this in last week's potion. The symbology is through imagination, a lost opportunity is regained. And I have to tell you, I think this is tremendously beautiful. This is the sun's and moon's position in Aries. So, you know what I didn't look up though? I need to look up Uranus. Uranus is either at, let me look, because I want to look at that also. Uranus is at 28 to 29, 28, 20. 28 to 29. the music of the spheres. The music of the spheres. This is about the intelligent organization of living systems. This is about the maths that live at the base, at the foundations of living systems. This is about the organizing factors and facets of all systems, cosmological, human, earth, all of it, living systems, everything that sources from the source field, every manifest form, seemingly manifest form that spurs from the consciousness field is organized and harmonic. So there's something here about remembering. Uranus is our brilliance, keep in mind as well. It's our distinct way by which we want to break pattern into our freedom, break pattern into our individualized essence, our individualized self, okay? Very big. So music of the spheres is activated with Uranus alongside the moon and the sun, which is through imagination, a lost opportunity is regained. What does that trigger in you? This is about pure potentiality. This is about clearing the mind in order to activate truth, really. Because the potentiality field, I was talking about free will earlier, but the truth is that when you're aligned in your bliss, you have certain skill sets, certain desires, certain things that you naturally gravitate to, right? So these lost opportunities, or what you perceive as lost opportunities, can be regained when you realign with your natural soul prince essence and that driver. Is it free will or not? We'll have to see. To a degree it is. How you work with it is. But the truth of your love, your joy, that which you resonate with quite naturally, it's part of your encoding. That's just part of the juice. That's part of who you are. So when you resonate with that and walk that truth, you're living your soul print, you're in bliss, and you're free, ironically. By living your encoding, you're free. That's the paradox of life. That's the beauty. It is beautiful. It's amazing. Now, Chiron symbology, right? So Chiron is ending, it's completing its cycle through the signs. Now, the last time that that Chiron entered Aries was 1968, okay? 1968. So we're starting a new cycle. So it's been, about 50 years, right? It's been 50 years. And we are here at this point where Chiron is moving into a new spiraled cycle of the zodiac wheel. Okay. Now, the symbology, how delicious. We all know what it is. A woman just risen from the sea. A seal is embracing her, okay? A woman just risen from the sea. A seal is embracing her. This symbol actually, according to Dane Rudhyar, has kind of, well, first of all, if we feel into the symbol, we have an understanding of what that means. But the seal embracing her, he brings this kind of other level to the symbol, which I want to talk about because it's important. First of all, the woman rising from the sea, delicious. Because the rising of the feminine, which has been growing and emerging over the course of the last 10 years or so, is now at a crescendo. We've passed a tipping point. It's going in a new direction. It's tumbling down. We've passed the tipping point. So the rising feminine is rising. It's not like at the door and we don't quite know. It's happening. It's tumbling forward. Hallelujah. It's happening, okay? Now, the fact that Chiron moves into this point, I mean, this happens to be the start of the zodiac wheel. So the symbology is the woman rising from the sea. So the feminine is rising. She's rising from the sea. The sea represents the emotional, thick, ubiquitous reality. It's our emotional state. The emotional state is rising. She is rising from the emotional, let's say, worldview, paradigm, construct of reality that has been emotionally stuck into place over the last couple thousand years. Okay? So she's rising. Now, Chiron's moving into that place. So indeed, there's wounding with the rising feminine. There's confidence needed to do it. There's the wise woman that needs to remember herself versus this adolescent, angry aspect of a woman, because I see a lot of that happening, but that's just part of it. The angry woman coming out, that's part of it. That's all part of it. We all move through these cycles of grief, of healing, of evolution. So it's all good. Does the world seek the wise elder, the grounded woman, the older woman to come forward? You better believe it. And, you know, this is to the women. This is specifically to the women that are seeing this. It is the women born in the mid-60s that have been going through their Chiron return that are now called forward. This is a big time. You know, women are at Chiron return time frames, menopausal time frames. There's a lot going on in the world. There's a lot of heaviness and change and shift activated that can cause great demise, that can cause great feelings of overwhelm. But this is your time to rise. This is the time to meet the call. This is the time to find your wise elder, your rooted elder within yourself, and pull it up. This is it. Now, let's talk about the other symbol. This other symbol, the other half of the symbol is the woman is rising from the ocean, but the seal is embracing her. And according to Dane Rudyard, and I found this interesting, I resonated with it, because at first I didn't quite know what it meant. What I kind of got originally when I read this the pure symbol, many years ago, a while ago, is the seal embracing her is talking about a creature from the water clinging to her, loving her, embracing her, wanting her to come back. And indeed, that is the case. But what Dane talks about is that as we, let's say as a woman, but this is really talking about men and women, because we are talking about the healing of the toxic patriarchy. We're talking about the healing of the toxic Marsian energy. We're talking about the healing of the toxic man, male, masculine that comes forward in the world. By the way, not just via men. Women hold this energy too, because we've been taught. We internalize the collective narrative. So there are multitudes of women, many women, that hold self-hatred and hatred of women, of feminine quality set. So this is not just for men and not just for women, but it is important for women embodiments, humans that are in women, female form, to step forward into their power, because that symbology is called. But with the seal embracing her, what Dane talks about, which is very interesting, is that the past will come. The emotions of the past will want to bring you back into the ocean. You know, the history of the past will try to bring you back into the ocean. So as you're rising, there's going to be some cloying, some clinging to bring you back, put you in your place, whatever it is, you know. So be mindful, be awake. Know that that's what's activated. And then you can see it clearly. And then you can tap into your wise elder. And then you can step up and out and, okay? Now, the other thing that I love so much, everybody, the symbology for Saturn going direct. The point at which Saturn, also on the 18th, so the same day, essentially, that Chiron is moving into Aries, Saturn is stationing direct to go retrograde, okay? The point that that's happening is 9 degrees, 9 minutes Cap. The symbol is an albatross feeding from the hand of a sailor. Now, I have to tell you, I feel that this could not be more appropriate. I say that every time, but it's so true. Why? Because this is talking about giving and receiving. This is talking about the bird needs food and the sailor offers the food. So there's a vulnerability of need and coming forward for assistance, and the sailor offers the assistance, gives the assistance. So there's a cooperative relationship essentially. You know, if he's feeding the albatross, then maybe the albatross isn't stealing his catch, right? So it's cooperative. This is nature. So evolved natural systems work in cooperation. Nature does that. Evolved ecosystems have learned to do that. So humans are a little behind the times. Nature knows a little more than we do, right? So humans need to learn. And so the fact that we have this stationing and movement backwards into this review of structure. How is it that we're structured in our government systems, societal systems, personal life systems? How is it that we cooperate in our own life, with our people in our sphere, in the collective? And how does that work or not work now? How is it activated or not activated? How is it in adolescent form or mature form? What is it that is called for, right? Now, and the moods nodes we talked about. So that's everything that I wanted to talk about, those symbols, which feel really huge, everybody, really. I think that's all I wanted to talk about because those were really the large things. I mean, one thing that I didn't mention is the fact that Mercury is going direct. And this has been a very intense Mercury retrograde for a lot of people. So to me, there's total alignment with the process that's unfolding, that this particular Mercury retrograde period would have had an intensity to it, maybe at an up-leveled way, an up-leveled intensity to it, and it's going direct on the new moon tomorrow night, the 15th of April. So everything that we've been really thinking about, rethinking about, along with all the activations that we've had with solar flare activity, energetic activity, migraines, headaches, nerve issues, aches, pains in the joints, whatever it is for you, digestive issues, lots and lots of stuff going on in the body systems, because times they are a-changing and energies they are a-moving. So there's a lot of activation in the field. So care for your body, care for your mind, give yourself quiet, give yourself space. Don't give yourself an excuse to distract, right? And you'll do it when you're ready. A lot of people aren't quite ready to go there. But this is the time for great healing, everybody. I do think that's it. I mean, the other thing that we've talked about a million times before that I'll just touch on right now and we'll complete is the fact that this particular, conjunction of Sun, Moon, and Uranus at this new moon tomorrow, as Mercury is going direct and as a few days later Chiron's going to pop into Aries, and then as simultaneously Saturn is going retrograde, is the square activation to the stellium that we have in Capricorn still happening, So, and it's not really happening. It's really happening more with Mars and Pluto and Lilith. Mars, Pluto, and Lilith in Cap are the key factors, the key functions that are squaring or charging or activating or catalyzing movement with the new moon, new seeding time, new revelation. And all of this with these 11-degree moon's nodes, with those tremendously beautiful symbols, Okay, everybody, I think that's all. Let me see if there's, let me just take a look here. Okay, beauties. So I think that's it. I hope that I am wishing you all the best for your weekend, for your processing, for your insights that you're gaining, that you're articulating and assimilating in your body system, and for your week ahead and for your month ahead. Because keep in mind, this new moon, I mean, I think this new moon is beyond this month ahead. I think this is a seeding time for the next year at least, you know. There's lots of new chapters, prolonged chapters that are coming up for us, okay? So I'm sending you much love. I'll talk to you next week. Bye.